So now we know for sure that modern-day Britain, England, Wales, Scotland are all represented here.
This is obviously long before the concept of kind of countries.
Sure.
But it does show that people are connected and they are coming together in Salisbury Plain.
The unmistakable towering megaliths of Stonehenge. Joe, honestly, it is such a privilege to get to stand so close to these iconic stones.
It's amazing, isn't it? Look, it's been nearly 10 years since Countryfile was last here. A blink of an eye in the history of the stones, but for those studying this ancient site, it's been a decade of discovery.
Yes, and recent findings actually offer fresh insight into this world-renowned monument and its importance as a centre of congregation on an international scale.
Britain's most famous prehistoric monument has adorned Salisbury Plain in Wiltshire for almost 5,000 years. But the story of this monument is far from complete. Its secrets continue to unfold. Does that suggest that maybe these have been here for sort of thousands of years?
That's the point, exactly.
This is an amazing story. It comes from about 450 miles away.
My goodness, that's a long way from Salisbury.
The sound that is coming off all of this work.
When you use the stone axes, that's a noise that hasn't been heard in this landscape for 5,000 years. It's epic.
Technology has allowed us to really narrow it down and say with some certainty, this is where they came from.
Can't beat a bit of science.
Can't be a bit of science. And down on Adam's farm this week, there's a new arrival.
I'm really looking forward to seeing him. My word, Dale, he's magnificent, isn't he?
He's a serious bite, isn't he, Adam?
Goodness me.
With the winter solstice just a week away, this feels like a good time to return to Stonehenge. These stones have stood in this windswept landscape for millennia, perfectly aligned to Earth's movement around the sun. But Stonehenge isn't just ancient history, it's a constantly unfolding story, with every new discovery reshaping our understanding of these incredible megaliths. What we do know is Stonehenge was built in stages from around 3000 to 2400 BC. It started as a circular earthwork of ditch and bank, developing over 6 centuries into the great stone monument we see today. There are 2 main types of stone here, the enormous sarsens that form the outer ring and the 5 towering trilithons, and the smaller bluestones that sit within them. But what's so fascinating is there is just so much we do not know. I mean, why was it built? Was it a temple, a burial ground, or a place of healing and pilgrimage? And how did they get these stones, some weighing over 30 tons, here in the first place? Since I was last here with Countryfile in 2016, archaeologists have made a remarkable series of discoveries, revealing not only where the stones came from, but why this spot may have united communities from across ancient Britain. Here to guide me through this decade of discovery is English heritage archaeologist Dr. Jennifer Wexler.
What's been really amazing is we have a lot of new scientific techniques that really allow us to understand and study the stones, but in a way that doesn't damage them. Stonehenge is a completely unique circle. As you can see around us, the stones are actually shaped to fit together. If you look, you can see that over there, for example, they're using what we call mortise and tenon technology to fit the stones together. So we have these notches where the bottom stones fit into the lintels. They literally look like Lego pieces that click together.
But these are towering 7-metre tall stones, weighing between 20 and 30 tons, placed in a very specific pattern.
And Jennifer, how were the stones aligned, and what does that tell us about how this place might have been used?
Well, we're actually standing in the perfect position because we are on the solstice alignment right here. And you can see a sun corridor through the center of the monument. So it runs from the heel stone, which is just at the entrance outside the circle, to just behind you, where we have the tallest trilithon, the 3 stones that stand up. And I think what's really interesting is, we have some really crazy weather going on here.
Yeah, it doesn't feel very close to the summer solstice right now, does it, with snow coming in?
But it does make you realize why people would perhaps worship the sun on Salisbury Plain, because the sun was incredibly important to the people who built Stonehenge. The people who built Stonehenge were early farmers. Their livelihoods really dependent on the sun doing its job.
These people are putting huge effort into this, and none of this is by accident.
It would be impossible to do this by accident.
Yeah. And Jennifer, do we know where these big sarsen stones came from?
Yes, there's been an extremely exciting discovery, and really it's a detective story, because there was a core that was drilled at Stonehenge in 1958 as part of conservation work. They had to shore up one of the stones with some metal. So they took a core, and it actually went with the man who did it to America.
Okay.
And then recently it was donated back to us a few years ago. And this was amazing because it allowed geologists to actually have a look at the inside of one of these stones, which is so important because you can actually look at the geochemical composition of the stones for the first time. And they found an exact match at the West Woods.
This incredible discovery, made just 3 years ago, revealed that the massive sarsen stones came from 15 miles to the north. It's the kind of breakthrough that shows how fast the story of Stonehenge can change. And seeing where these incredible megaliths originated is too good an opportunity to miss. Archaeologist Lawrence Shaw from Forestry England has offered to guide me to the site where they were painstakingly extracted from the landscape.
Now, Lawrence, I've heard that there was, back in the 50s, a core sample taken from one of the Stonehenge sarsen stones, and that sort of put this area in the frame. But how do we know it was definitely this area?
There was a project led by the University of Brighton, and they were doing something called portable X-ray fluorescence. So this is
easy for you to say. Yeah.
It's a bit of advice. It looks a bit like a phaser from Star Trek.
Nice.
And you can place it on a stone. It will give you the geochemical signature of that stone.
Wow.
So what they've done then is gone about looking at sarsen spreads like we have here at Westwoods, to look to see where they can find the same signature. And what they found is that Westwood is most likely the source of these massive sarsens that we have at Stonehenge, because it has almost an identical geochemical signature.
Wow, so it's like DNA for rocks.
Exactly that.
And we've got a very strong match here.
Yeah, exactly.
Stronger than anywhere else.
Stronger than anywhere else.
So we had an inkling it might have been here, but the technology has allowed us to really narrow it down and say with some certainty, this is where they came from.
Can't beat a bit of science.
Can't beat a bit of science.
Sarsen stones are a type of sedimentary rock that take thousands of years to form.
Look at these. Okay, they're getting bigger now. This is more like it.
And yeah, you get the idea of the sort of scale that you might expect.
Yeah. This is one.
This is what's brought us here. And this is what's been bringing people here for thousands of years, the raw material.
For some reason I expected to see one towering over us, but of course that's because I've been conditioned by seeing Stonehenge. Actually, they would have just been scattered randomly.
That's it, and there are thousands around us at the moment. We just can't see them. They are in the ground, they are buried, they're covered in soil, and there are some absolute monsters, but the ones we see today are ones that have been tampered with. In more recent history, particularly the Victorian era, there was a quarry here.
If you and I had to work out how to move this now, potentially 15 miles as the crow flies, I've got no idea how we'd begin. How do you think they managed it?
It's a really interesting question. It's something we're actually looking at the moment as a future project. But we're thinking about rollers, we're thinking about sledges. But even if we want to move just something like this, we've worked out we need 150 people to drag it. So
just 150 casual people that someone's got to grow food for and organise, and you know, it's a massive effort, isn't it?
Massive effort. And the other thing you've got to remember, the stones we see at Stonehenge as they are now are actually smaller than they would have been when they arrived, because we know from excavations that they're facing them and they're shaping them outside of the monument itself.
Right.
So when they leave westwards, they're even bigger.
They're in their
even
raw
heavier.
form.
Yeah, exactly.
Moving these sarsens 15 miles must have required monumental feats of logistics and physical effort. But as I'll discover later, some of the stones used at Stonehenge had an even longer journey.
We are just a week away from one of the most momentous days of the year for Stonehenge, the winter solstice. It's then, on the shortest day of the year, the setting sun aligns perfectly with the great stones, the megaliths acting as an ancient solar calendar. This annual spectacle has drawn people here for thousands of years. Archaeologist Wyn Scott, curator of Stonehenge for charity English Heritage, has, along with his colleagues, uncovered many secrets from those ancient times. So Wyn, describe midwinter to me here at Stonehenge and all those festivities.
Well, it must have been an incredible place that everybody looked forward to coming to. But to come here to celebrate the ancestors at Stonehenge, but also to spend time in these houses.
Is this what their dwellings would have looked like?
Yes, these temporary dwellings that they had at Durrington Walls is exactly what they looked like. It's a reconstruction, but it's based on the ground plan that we found.
So people weren't actually living here. We know they were coming from afar. How do we know?
We think they're just coming here for the Midwinter Festival. And we know that because we've examined the pigs. When I was... I know. When we were excavating here at Durrington Walls a few years ago, I was lucky enough to be on those excavations. And the ground outside these houses was black, organic soil. And inside that were hundreds, thousands of pig bones.
Right.
And it was basically their feasts. But the pigs were 8 months old. And we know that the sows, farrow, have their babies in the spring. So this tells us that they were eating these pigs at midwinter. And no doubt for the whole midwinter solstice celebrations, there's no other evidence that would give an indication that they're here the rest of the year. So these seem to be just seasonal occupation here.
All of these layers of evidence and detail that you can use to fill in the blanks and paint this picture is just exquisite. What was it like finding all of these?
Oh, absolutely amazing. I think that's one of the greatest archaeological experiences I've ever had in my life. Just kneeling there and troweling and finding arrowheads in amongst these pig bones, some of them embedded in the bones. So it looks like they are hunting them for sport, because if you just want to kill a pig, there are easier, quicker ways of doing it.
Could that have been a part of the celebrations, the festivities of it all?
I think so. I think there's a whole load of things going on here that isn't just feasting. These are young families who are celebrating, meeting each other for the first time in a year or longer, establishing relationships. They're dancing, they're singing.
It really does sound like a great party for midwinter.
Yes, it's Glastonbury in the 26th century BC, and everything that could go along with that. That's the incredible thing. It's how strong society was at that time. You know, these weren't isolated people, but they're walking for hundreds of miles, no horses, to get here, to share this fantastic experience.
In that same archaeological dig that uncovered evidence of the workers' huts, traces of another type of Neolithic building were discovered. It's now the focus of an ambitious project led by experimental archaeologist Luke Winter. His team are working with the same skills, materials, and even the same tools used here more than 5,000 years ago. Luke, what a hive of activity. What exactly is being built here?
So this is the very beginnings of a long-term project to reconstruct a Neolithic hall. So a late Stone Age building, the evidence for which was discovered at Durrington Walls. And within Durrington Walls is this footprint. 4 very large square post holes surrounded by up to 45, maybe more, other post holes in a sort of organic shape around the edge. It's about 14 metres long by about 12 metres wide. And from that very limited evidence, I have to try and work out what could have stood, how tall those posts could have been, and the kind of structure that could have stood above. And we're trying to use traditional methods and skills to take whole timbers, shape them, put them in the ground, and build something incredible.
So we have all of these Neolithic tools, but I do have to point out this one, not so much.
Well, this one.
Yeah.
So the beginning of this process, we have some essential modern groundworks going on, and in about a week's time, all of that should disappear, and we return to hauling things by hand, lifting things in with muscle power and traditional tools.
The sound that is coming off all of this work is incredible. It's actually really beautiful.
It's amazing, isn't it? And it's really sort of noticeable when you turn up, because of course usually modern building sites are filled with machinery and generators.
Drilling.
Yeah. But when you use the stone axes, that's a noise that hasn't been heard in this landscape for 5,000 years. It's epic.
Volunteers begin with steel tools whilst learning their woodworking skills. Once they graduate to stone tools, an extraordinary level of data collection begins.
We're recording the person that's doing it. We've got some of the biometrics of those people. We're recording the tool, its weight, its dimensions, how many times it hits the wood, the cubic volume of wood each blow removes. And what we're trying to do really is to get a sort of fine resolution of what it is to use stone tools on a serious project. It's so rare for something like this to happen. It's a real opportunity to capture as much data as we can. So you might wonder why on earth we do that, but I suppose the point is to be able to say how long it might have taken Neolithic people to not just construct this building, but to build much larger timber monuments.
How many volunteers would you say you've got working on this? Because this is brilliant that everyone wants to get involved.
Yeah, we tend to have, on a daily sort of basis, we have 25 to 30 people, and then we have other volunteers that come in more sporadically, but we need them all. It's a huge project.
Ros Sutton and Emma Gregor are part of the vital volunteer workforce.
We've got this one marked.
Ros and Emma. Oh,
Hello. Hello.
What are we doing with this log?
We are notching, and then we're going to do a few other bits and pieces so that we are taking this from a round log, as it is now, into a square or rectangular beam.
The notch is the first step of many in the laborious process. It creates an entry point from which the remaining wood can be chopped away more easily.
Just hit like that.
So I'm going in at a slight angle?
Yes, a slight angle is good. Would you like to go?
Oh, yes, of course. Right. Oh, I feel like I'm not hitting the same point as much as you were.
You're fine.
You're doing brilliantly.
You're doing well.
Oh, you've got to put some muscle into it, haven't you?
You do.
How many notches would we do on a log like this?
30 to 40.
How long is it taking to do each notch? Times about 30.
For one person, probably at least a couple of days.
Right.
Yeah.
But it makes you really appreciate the know-how, the effort, the care that's gone into building.
You reevaluate time as well, I have found, because if we were building this with all the technology available today, we'd just put it through a sawmill, wouldn't we? And in a couple of minutes it would be done. But we are taking a couple of days to do the same job. Yeah, you're nearly there.
Can I have a go with the stone tools to see how it would have been?
Oh, we have two different types of stone axes here. We've got quite a heavy one and we've got quite a light one. And which would you prefer?
I'll have a way of them.
Yes, definitely.
I love the craftsmanship on the axe themselves. I'm going to go for the lighter one. Definitely feels a bit harder.
Yeah.
And I feel like I have a little less control over exactly where to place it.
Yes.
Yeah.
The blades on the two are very different actually. So whereas that's a wedge shape, on the steel it's more of a point. So they cut very differently.
This definitely takes it up a notch.
I do apologise, I'm sorry.
Why is this an important project to you, Emma?
For me, I've been sort of really keen to learn historic crafts and heritage crafts and anything like that. And this project is doing all of that. And getting to experience this with tools, both modern and sort of replica tools as well, it's just absolutely fantastic.
It's a chance of a lifetime, really. I don't think anybody's ever going to ask me if I'd like to build a Neolithic building ever again. So why wouldn't you come and do it?
With my small contribution to the build noted and logged.
So, in 1 minute 33 seconds, you did 150 blows.
I'll leave the modern day experts to continue with this incredible Stone Age build.
It's very tempting to think of 5,000 years ago as a very long time ago, and it's very tempting to think of the people that lived then as very different to ourselves. And actually, they're really not. Stonehenge, you look at what they're creating in stone, what must they be doing in timber, which is far more easily shaped, and I just feel that this project will start to sort of highlight some of that sophistication and that refinement. That's the mission.
From ancient traditions to new beginnings, Adam's busy getting everything ready to welcome new life down on the farm.
Today is one of those days when there seems to be a job to do in every field. Right, that's the trailer on. I'll just go and get Gwen the sheepdog.
I've got rams to take out into one field.
Good girl. Good girl. Come on, we've got some jobs to do.
Different rams to put into another. And there's a lorry on its way that's delivering our new Highland bull. It's a busy time of year, but every job feeds into one goal, bringing new life onto the farm. What we do now shapes which animals give birth and when. So task number 1 is getting our sheep sorted, so they're in the best possible shape for lambing next year.
So in this field, we've got our Cotswold sheep, our rare breeds. So I'm going to round them up and take the ram out. So this is where Gwen comes into her own. I'm going to send her up the field, bring them back down into the handling pens and take him out. So Gwen, come by.
We keep around 250 commercial ewes on the farm, plus around 100 rare breed sheep from 10 different breeds.
Good girl.
These Cotswolds will be the first of our flocks to give birth next February.
Right, here we go.
We stagger our lambing throughout the season. It not only spreads the workload, but helps us protect ourselves a bit from the market price swings. Each group of ewes is at a slightly different stage, almost like chapters in the same story. Instead of everything bursting into life in one go, the lambs arrive in a nice steady rhythm.
Right, so these are our Cotswold sheep, famous for their beautiful, long, lustrous wool. And the ram has been with them for a couple of cycles. So sheep ovulate every 17 or 18 days. That's when they can conceive. So this is the ram, the daddy, and you can see he's got this paint on his chest. And that's so that when he mates with them, he leaves a mark on the ewe's rump. And we started off with yellow, and then we changed it 18 days later, and now he's marked some red. And because we know when we change the colours of the paint, we know pretty much when they're going to give birth. So now the ram has done his job for the season. He's hopefully got all the ewes in lamb. His job is done. So I've got some ram lambs next door that'll keep him company. So I'll just take him out. And then he'll live for the rest of the winter and the summer until we need to use him again next year. Okay, mate. Go on then.
I've used the Cotswold ram with the Cotswold ewes to keep the bloodline of this rare breed going.
Good boy.
I've got a different breeding plan for our commercial ewes, as they're kept for meat and wool rather than conservation.
Right, I reckon That's about the right spot.
I've limed up 2 smart rams to bring the traits I want into the breeding flock. Resilience against worms being one of the main ones. But I've got to check the boys over first.
In here, we've got our Romney rams. And the Romney, my word, as you can see here, powerful sheep. Let me just bring them back out here. Now then, steady, 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 steady. Oh. The Romney are powerful sheep. Oh, well, I just made a hash of that, but I'm fine. I just knocked me over, but they are powerful animals. And the way to control a sheep is to hold them under the chin. But got the better of me. You go, right, now then. Right, I'm in charge, fella. Here we go. So really big, strong sheep. They've got a very good meat cover, so they're good at producing lamb, but also they give birth easily. A lot of the bigger, more commercial breeds have great big wide shoulders and they produce a tremendous meaty lamb, but that causes problems when the ewe is trying to give birth to the lamb. Whereas the Romney has got narrow shoulders, legs are closer together, slightly narrower head that also comes for easy lambing, but then grows like stink and is a really good, strong sheep.
Now that I've checked their condition, I can paint them up.
Right then, mate. They get that worked right into his wool, because these 2 rams are going out with about 50 ewes now. Right then, boys, be good.
These Romney rams are going in with last year's ewe lambs, our shearlings. And if all goes to plan, they'll be giving birth around March.
You can see when you turn the rams out with a flock of ewes, they immediately come round the rams. You know, some of them are likely to be ovulating in season now. And they work hard, these Romneys, and they've already marked up 4. Right, I'll leave them to it.
My final job with the sheep is to check on a flock of ewes that will be the last to lamb on the farm. They won't go to the ram for another couple of weeks, because right now they need to graze on our crop of grass and sandfoin.
The ewes are way in the distance there on the top of the hill.
The sandfoin has been a really useful crop for us. Great for the soil and excellent at helping control blackgrass, a weed that competes strongly with wheat and barley. I'm grazing our main commercial flock on it to get them in peak condition before pregnancy.
With the drought that we had this summer, our ewe flock suffered really. We had to start feeding them hard food. There was just no grass at all. Now what we want is for the ewes to be in very good condition to be able to conceive lots of lambs. And what we want is them to ovulate well. And they call it flushing. So you put them on really good pastures a couple of weeks before they go with the ram and right through tupping. So it's flushing them, producing lots of eggs that will conceive and produce lots of lambs, hopefully. And this sandfoin, because it's got such a good nutrient base, is a really good quality crop to do that with. So I've just caught one so that I can feel her body condition. Since the summer, you know, this sheep would have been really lean. She'd have been skinny, rearing her lambs. I can feel her ribs, her loin, her rump, and I can tell how podgy she is. And so what I want is for her to be a condition score of about 3. So 1 being very lean and 5 being fat. I want her about in the middle, 2.5, 3 ideally. And this sheep, I would say, is ideal. And she's pretty much average to what's in this field. So this sandfoin's done a great job and now in perfect order.
In a couple of weeks, I'll put these ewes with our Hampshire rams.
So that's 3 sheep flocks all checked, the Cotswolds, the Romneys and these, and they'll all be lambing at different times, February, March, and then this lot in April, and they're all looking good. Right, I'll head back to the farm.
Lambs aren't the only new life Adam is hoping for on his farm. We'll be catching up with him a little later for the arrival of his new Highland bull.
Stonehenge may be around 5,000 years old, but new discoveries over the past decade have unearthed fresh secrets. Earlier, English heritage archaeologist Dr. Jennifer Wexler explained the recent revelation of the Sarsen stone's origin. Yet it seems the blue stones may have had an even more extraordinary journey to get here.
These are really interesting and important stones to the site. And the thing that's amazing about them is that they've done a huge amount of work to source where these stones have come from. This has been debated about by archaeologists for a number of years. And they have found now specific quarry sites in the Presili Hills in southwestern Wales. So that's about 150 miles away. So they actually found stone tools that they were using. So things like stone wedges and hammer stones. And also some of their snack food.
What?
They were eating hazelnuts. You know, hazelnuts were kind of the snack food of prehistory. So we really found a kind of moment in time where people were getting these stones and then bringing them all the way here. But that process is still a little bit of a mystery because originally archaeologists thought they might come via sea routes, though we haven't found sturdy enough boats. We think it's potentially more likely that they're doing an overland route. But then if you walk that route, it's at least a month.
Right.
Probably more if you're driving a heavy
if you've got a backpack with one of these in,
But this would have been probably occasion, because I think it's easy for us, because we always, you know, in modern culture, we think about efficiency, right? Like, how quickly can we do things? But that's not necessarily the case with these people. You know, this would have been an occasion, getting stones from a place that might have had a lot of special meaning to them, but they clearly were special because they're going out of their way to get them.
And it turns out that one of the most special stones, the altar stone, comes from even further away.
This is an amazing story because it's a new story. We just discovered this in the last year. Geologists had been kind of suspicious of this stone for quite a long time. Originally, they thought it had kind of been picked up in Wales along the coast with the blue stones. Actually, it comes from the Orcadian Basin in northeastern Scotland.
Northeast Scotland?
Northeast Scotland.
My goodness, that's a long way from Salisbury.
About 450 miles away. So this is our farthest flung stone found on site. And, you know, archaeologists, we don't really know how it got here. Was this stone, was it something that came over ground all the way from Scotland?
Yeah.
The amount of time that would have taken, the amount of communities involved would have been tremendous. And you can picture it going through other monumental sites from this period of time. And that would have really been something to kind of move through all these different groups of people to get here.
So now we know for sure that sort of modern day Britain, England, Wales, Scotland are all represented here.
It's worth pointing out, you know, this is obviously long before the concept of kind of countries.
Sure.
But it does show that people are connected and they are coming together in Salisbury Plain.
But who were the people making these remarkable journeys? And why were they coming here?
Something that people don't realize about Stonehenge is that if we just look across, you can see the earliest bit of the site, which is the earthworks, the kind of bank and ditch.
Oh, yeah, just there.
Yeah. But then just inside of it are a series of holes, and these actually contain cremation burials. So when people ask, what is Stonehenge? In the earliest phases, Stonehenge is a cemetery.
Oh, wow, okay.
It's a place to honor the ancestors. And what's really fascinating is when they did chemical analysis of the cremated remains, and they realized that these people don't come from here. They didn't live here in Salisbury Plain. They actually came from the west, possibly Cornwall, possibly Wales. So we think that they were actually were brought to the site and deposited here on purpose.
Can you map the genetics of people that are coming here?
There is a big change that happens within like 100 or 200 years.
Yeah.
We start to get a new group of people coming into this landscape, and perhaps they're attracted by the fame of Stonehenge to come here. And they're coming from Europe. So we have a new group of people coming from Europe, and they have what we call steppe DNA. So DNA that it comes from sort of Eastern Europe. And with them, they bring new technology, which is metalworking technology, and new cultural ideas. So the best example of them is all around us in the surrounding landscape. We have lots of burial mounds. And actually,
Yes,
there's
we've got one right here,
one right there. You can see it's quite a big one. And there's over 400 of these. And for
400?
Yes.
Gosh, okay.
So it's one of the biggest burial grounds in Europe from this period of time.
So from these new discoveries, we really do see this as a place that is mapping human development over time, new ideas, new technologies and techniques coming into this area.
Definitely. I think it's really a place where people are coming together and meeting and exchanging these ideas.
I guess you could say the story of this site is far from set in stone. I'm sorry, surprises around every corner. And what do we have here? Another discovery is the Countryfile calendar for 2026. If you want to get your hands on a copy, here's John with all the details.
It costs £11.99, which includes UK delivery. You can go to our website, bbc.co.uk/countryfile, where you'll find a link to the online order page. Or you can call 0330 333 4564 to place your order by phone. Standard geographic charges will apply to both landlines and mobiles. The phone line will be available from Monday to Friday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m, and Saturdays from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. If you prefer to order by post, then send your name, address and a cheque to BBC Countryfile Calendar, P.O. Box 25, Melton Mowbray, LE13 1ZG. And please make your cheques payable to BBC Countryfile Calendar. A minimum of £5.50 from the sale of each calendar will be donated to BBC Children in Need.
While we continue to unearth new discoveries, Adam's gearing up for his new arrival.
I might have had a bumpy start to the day, thanks to one particularly feisty ram. But I've worked my way through the flocks, getting each group set up so we can stagger lambing from late winter into spring. It's all part of laying the groundwork for the burst of new life I'm hoping to see on the farm. I'm also really hoping for some new Highland calves next year. And to make it happen, we've got a new bull arriving soon. And I have to say, I'm pretty excited about it.
Before my new Highland bull arrives, I've just made a quick detour to come and check on my lovely Suffolk Punch mare, Lexi. Hello, Lexi. The exciting thing is with Lexi is that she's pregnant again. She's looking really fit and well, and you can now start to see her bulge. She's getting a bit of a belly on her, which is really exciting. Of course, the gestation period of a horse is pretty much 12 months. So out of all the animals on the farm, you have to wait the longest for a horse to give birth. And so she's due next May, June time. But she's in really good order. She's in fine fettle, aren't you? She loves her apples. And of course, the Suffolk Punch is still critically rare. I think they had maybe 35, 40 foals last year that were registered. So as many foals as we can get on the ground, fit and healthy, is really important. And ideally, what we want is females, fillies, that will go on and give birth themselves in the future. Right, I'll leave Lexi to it and go and see if that bull's arrived. Stay there, good girl.
Lexi's new foal is still a few months off yet. But the arrival I've been waiting for has just turned up. Our new Highland bull, delivered by Dale, the livestock manager from Cannon Hall Farm in Yorkshire.
Hello, Dale.
Hi, Adam.
My word, are you exhausted?
Yeah, it's been a long old drive, that, yeah, but we're here, and we've got all his papers, he's all sorted.
Great, so he's had all his movement licences and he's got all his blood tests done?
Yeah, absolutely, he's good to go.
Fantastic, wonderful. Let's head him out. I'm really looking forward to seeing him. My word, Dale, he's magnificent, isn't he?
He's a serious boy, isn't he, Adam?
Goodness me. He's come all the way from Scotland?
He's been up in Oban at the minute, yeah. So
Scotland, Yorkshire to here?
He's been on a long road trip, yeah. He's been seeing lots of ladies and hopefully he'll be just as good for yours.
Great. So tell me about him, Dale. His name's Ted.
He is, yeah. This is Ted. He were actually born on our farm in Yorkshire. I think I was there the day he was born, actually.
Really?
Yeah, as a little lad. We knew pretty soon on that he was going to be a fairly decent bull. He won at the Yorkshire Show, best bull.
Did he?
Yeah. And he even went up to the Oban Sale in Scotland, where he came third, which we were very, very happy with.
But you didn't sell him?
No, we didn't sell him. He's a very, very special bull to us.
Well, I've got 2 heifers for him to go to, and then our Black Highland bull is obviously dad to them, so we can't keep him anymore.
Yeah.
And they've got another couple more cows for him to go to next year. So, and you're happy for us to keep him for a couple of years?
Absolutely, yeah. You use him as you need to and look after him and we're more than happy.
Right. He's very quiet, isn't he? Very placid.
Considering that there's 2 lovely young females there for him, I think he's behaving very, very well, yeah. So he's a quiet, nice bull, which is a lot of the work, isn't it, you know, as you'll know.
It is, really.
I always think with Highlands, it's a good job they're as placid as they are, because they've got these horns and they do know how to use them if they really want to.
And really strong male horns, different to the cow's horns that are up and turned up like that.
Come
right,
on.
Let's hope we can get him in here. That's the last thing to take off is his nose ring.
There you go.
He's free to go. He's a good boy. It's lovely to have such a quiet animal. Let's see how he gets on with the ladies, Dale. He's more interested in his belly. He's gone over to a bucket that hasn't actually got anything in it.
That's well, yeah, he's definitely keen on the bucket and the grass more than the girls at the minute, but I think you'll find he'll change his mind quite quickly.
So these heifers are just 2.5 years old, so gestation period being 9 months. Hopefully he'll serve them within the next couple of weeks, and we'll have calves on the ground next summer.
Yeah, he's a proven worker. You know, he'll have calves arriving the beginning of next year up in where he's just been, so there should hopefully be no problems for you, Adam.
So he's been leaving his genetics all over the country.
Exactly. Ted's road trip, we're calling it.
Lucky boy. Thank you so much, Dale. Really, really appreciate it. Right, let's head off. Well, there's been plenty going on today, but hopefully we've got a very full calendar of births to look forward to next year, with lambs being born late winter, early spring, and then through the springtime, and then late spring, early summer, Lexi's foal, and then hopefully 2 gorgeous Highland calves in the summer months next year. So fingers crossed, everything goes to plan.
We've been exploring Stonehenge, a 5,000-year-old story that's still revealing itself.
This is our farthest flung stone. It comes from the Orcadian Basin in northeastern Scotland.
You're doing well.
Oh, you've got to put some muscle into it, haven't you?
You do.
Even now, these ancient stones draw communities from across Britain and beyond to gather in ritual and celebration. But their surfaces host a quieter kind of congregation on a microscopic scale. David Hill is one of Britain's leading lichenologists. He's back at Stonehenge for the first time in 20 years. It's a rare chance for him to continue his study of the stone's living skin.
Well, it's still dark, the sun hasn't come up yet, but I'm here this early because I've been promised an illuminating encounter with perhaps the oldest inhabitant of this ancient monument. Why is it we're here at this time, first thing?
Well, we're here because these stones aren't completely dead. They're really alive. Covering all over this are lichens of all sorts of different kinds, which reflect UV light. And you can see the different colours they come up.
Oh, look at that.
Look at this.
It's amazing. You're seeing views of lichen in that light that you wouldn't see in daylight?
Yes, and it's been an aid to helping identify them because there are so many. There are about 2,000 species in Britain.
Whoa.
We've got about 70 on these stones.
Oh, wow.
And they are really quite hard to identify. So we need every trick we can think of to help us. And one of those is to shine a UV light on them.
But go back to square one, David. Why should we care about lichen?
Lichens are extraordinary organisms because they are fungi.
Are they?
Most fungi decompose things. They rot dead plants and other organic matter. But lichens have gone a different way of life. What they've done is to not wait until the thing is dead. They are actually living off little microscopic algae. So they only need water and sunlight and very few mineral nutrients, and they can just be sitting there as a fungus and pretending to be a plant.
And suddenly you look at these stones in a completely different way. They are sort of this living ecosystem.
That's right.
These extraordinary organisms have been growing here for centuries. In a place famous for its history, they're a reminder that Stonehenge is still an evolving, living monument. And David is one of only 2 people to have ever surveyed the lichen on the stone's surface.
Ah, look at this. This one. This one is a good one. You see all the little black dots? They are what we call the fruiting bodies. And those fire off spores of the fungus into the air, and they drift away to land somewhere else to make another lichen somewhere else.
Wow. What is this one?
This one is got a lovely Latin name.
Okay, go on.
Called Buellia subdisciformis. It's only normally found on the seashore, and there's masses of it here. The other lichen that we see is this tufted one, and that's a seashore lichen too, the rock ivory. And just growing here, about half a dozen species, which are only normally seen on the seashore.
Because of moisture? What do you think's behind that, David? Is it like a sort of a sea cliff almost, these big stones?
I think it probably is, yes. And this is a very exposed area that's been like this for thousands of years. So I imagine that as far as the lichen's concerned, it might as well be at the seashore because the wind is coming straight across the Atlantic, over the Salisbury Plain and straight onto the stones.
I can see you light up. You're very excited by that, aren't you?
Yeah. The other thing is that there's a cluster of 10 or more species that are otherwise very rare in Britain, perhaps 10 or 20 recordings over the years. So what is the chance of them landing on this small patch in Stonehenge?
Does that suggest that maybe these sort of populations have been here for sort of thousands of years?
That's the point, exactly. The reason it's been possible is because the stones have been here for so long.
Wow.
We've had 5,000 years of opportunity for spores to arrive here.
Yes, so it's something you cannot recreate quickly unless you've got a spare 5,000 years to hand.
That's right.
And essentially, it's not just rare, but it just shows how precious this site is.
Exactly.
This monument may be covered in lichen, but identifying them is no easy task. David is one of the very few who can distinguish between the thousands of species. And he's received special permission to take samples from the stones.
The sample I collected from the stone is now under the microscope, and I'm now going to cut a section through the black fruiting body.
Oh my goodness, that tiny thing, you're cutting it into slithers.
Yeah. Then we take the section and we can put it onto a slide.
Ah, okay, so we're getting a cross-section, and this is going to tell us a lot about it.
So what I'm going to do is to do a test for the different chemical substances in the lichen. Every lichen's got its own combination of particular substances, and that helps us narrow down what the possible chemicals are inside. If you'd like to look through there, Joe.
You put your glasses on and you're using a microscope.
At the same time.
Double action.
You can say what colour it has gone.
It's gone as sort of a greeny yellow, and that gives you a clue as to which lichen it is.
Exactly.
Wow, so having done all of this, you've analysed it, you've sliced it up, you've tested it with chemicals. Do you now know exactly what it is?
Yes, nearly tricked me in the field, but now I'm certain it is Buellia saxorum, which is a species which is only found in Stonehenge, Avebury and the Sarsen Stones in Britain.
Incredible, what a find.
The stones have been here for 5,000 years, and because of the numbers of species which are normally found on the coast, and because having so many rare species present, it makes the collection of lichens on Stonehenge of international importance for the conservation of lichens.
So is it a privilege to be able to survey
It's
it?
a huge privilege, yes.
Earlier, I learned of remarkable evidence uncovered through archaeological digs. Findings that show ancient people gathered here for feasts and celebrations, especially at the time of the winter solstice.
Just kneeling there and troweling and finding arrowheads in amongst these pig bones, that's one of the greatest archaeological experiences I've ever had in my life.
Together with the pig bones and arrowheads, many fragments of ceramics were also unearthed. Flo Brooks is a volunteer for English Heritage who specialises in the recreation of that pottery.
I'm making a grooved ware pot, which is what Neolithic people were making at the time of Stonehenge.
I can see there's all sorts of pots around here. It's amazing to sort of paint this picture of how this place would have been lived in.
Yes.
A pot like this, who would be eating from it? How would they be eating?
In these, they found the residue of dairy, and we think that's because they were making cheese in them. The reason we think it was cheese is because they were lactose intolerant. People couldn't drink raw milk, so they think they were making cheese, which makes it safe for them.
So this pot that you're recreating now, the etchings, the markings that you're making, they're based on pots that have been found?
Yes. What I'm doing is I'm just marking out the grooves in this pattern, this traditional pattern.
Oh, this is lovely.
So I've got a nice little pointed stick, and all I'm doing is drawing lines that are parallel to the marking out that I've done. I'll just do this one panel, and then you can have a go on the next one. How does that sound?
That sounds like I can just about handle it.
I think you'll be fine.
Thank you, Flo.
Right.
I really love the atmosphere in here. That coziness, but also imagining the life that would have been inhabiting this place.
Yes, absolutely. And you can imagine there might have been children learning to do all the things, people coming back from building the henge who might be tired and hungry. So the big pots might have been standing by the fire with a nice big stew in, ready for the people who've been outside in the cold.
I mean, coming in from the cold, from the rain, sharing some cheese, spending some time together, it's not so different from the way that we like to live our lives.
Absolutely. They are like us, but just without some of our technology.
Oh, Flo, it's wonderful. These ones are a little thicker, but it's very therapeutic, isn't it?
Yeah, and theirs would not all have been identical.
I'll take that. Yeah, it's the imperfections that make it so perfect.
Well, absolutely, yes.
Vic, how's it going?
Not wanting out the cold, Joe.
Look at you, you found the right spot. I mean, it's freezing out there. How's it been?
You know what? It has been so fascinating taking this journey through Neolithic times, but I really love that some things will just always remain a mystery. How's it been for you?
Well, there's no shortage of remarkable history here, and yet weirdly it's lichen that has given me a new perspective on this as like a living monument. Remarkable.
Well, that's it for this week.
Next week, Anita, Matt and Adam will be celebrating a Cornish Christmas in Cadgwith.
We've got some fish to sort out, so you've got to better put them on, because otherwise you'll get wet.
Got the wellies and everything, right, okay.
That's a good job, James, but it looks a lot heavier now it's on the ground.
I've done my job, I'm leaving it up to you.
This is
proper graft, this is. Look at that.
Amazing.
Brilliant.
We hope you can join us then.
See you.
See ya. Oh, now I thought you might have got a few marshmallows. You weren't tempted?